If I get a job like that, we'll be set for life.
You had mentioned that he might be looking to hire a private security guard.
Prove yourself here for a few months, and I'll see what I can do.
And how are you, Sean?
I'm good. Good. Yeah.
Oh.
I encourage you to keep drawing. This is a part of the healing.
You don't see me, Sean!
This pregnancy is gonna kill me.
I feel like I'm trapped somewhere far away. And I want to get back to you and the baby, but I can't.
What is Aster?
Haven't heard that name in a long time. Is something wrong?
You're one of them.
None of this is actually happening.
A devoted husband tries to protect his pregnant wife, but after a mysterious accident, his life turns into a nightmare of visions, voices, and hallucinations that blur the line between reality and madness. The deeper he digs, the more he realizes his family's survival may depend on secrets buried in his past and a destiny he cannot escape. It all began at the hospital. Sean was on the phone with his boss. His wife, Andrea, called his attention to the fetal monitor. She came for her routine antenatal checkup, reporting pain in her lower back. The doctor advised her to avoid stress and be careful with her movements. He also advised Sean to apply a soft massage to the very spot to ease the pain. In the vehicle, she asked him why he always has to be on his phone. Sean opens up about the job offer his boss would give him if he performs well in his current role, and with this, he will be able to provide for all her needs and the whole family. Meanwhile, at the school, Sean was busy welcoming new students and making sure they felt comfortable. As he inspected an electric alarm on the wall, his boss, Cocker, walked in, interrupting him to ask if the alarm still worked. Sean said that the alarm is faulty and needs to be replaced, but he refused, saying there is no budget for that. Just as he was about to leave, Sean stopped him, asking if he had heard about the job vacancy. The man only laughed, saying what he needed was a giant, not someone of Sean's average build, but encouraged him to work more and walked away. Later that night, Andrea, Sean's wife, asked him to massage her back to ease the pain, but this asked him to stop, just as he was about to take things further. Before sunrise, he went for a workout, and as he closed the door, he saw the light bulb flickering and went off. He saw a star strangely moving in the sky, and in a moment, it moved away, turning the bulbs back on. By sunrise, Sean and Andrea drove to his family's house. Right there, Lori welcomed them and took the present they brought. They proceed to meet with his Aunt Robin. In a moment, Andrea joined Laura. Robin and Sean began discussing. She asked about his financial life, but Sean affirmed that he was okay. Their conversation was interrupted by his brother, Christian. He pulled him aside, first congratulating him on the expected child, and he even reminded him of the very day he rescued a deer from Delt when everyone was afraid to move close to it. Sean noticed Christian's collection of rifles, moved close, and held one. He asked Christian to lend him one, just to protect his family. Christian declined, insisting he didn't need a gun, but eventually directed him to someone who could provide one. On their way home, Sean got a text from his boss that the alarm has been buzzing all day. He told Andrea to head home while he rushed to fix the alarm. When he got there, he took out his equipment and fixed the alarm. He quickly noticed the lights flickering and went further to take a close look at it. He sent Andrea a message that he will be back late. On the other side, Andrea noticed a strange hitting sound and also the light flickering. She stood up to check, but it was the air hitting on the window. She closed the window and went back. Meanwhile, Sean took a ladder and climbed up the roof to rectify the lights. His screwdriver fell off, and as he was about to go down to get it, he saw a bright light from the sky coming close to him. It was bright that he couldn't see further. His vision blurred, and dizziness took over him. When he woke up, he saw himself in a strange place and was being held hostage, his blood drained from him against his will. He saw his late dad gazing at him, and in a moment, he released himself from the hospital, confirming it was a dream. His wife, Andrea, explained to him that he had fallen from the rooftop but miraculously survived it. The doctor came and gave him a final checkup before they left. After some time, they returned home. Sean was eager to get back to work, but Andrea insisted he rest. In the evening, he took out a drawing book and started drawing. In the morning, he looks at what he has drawn only to hide it when he senses Andrea coming towards her. She gave him his medication, but as she was returning, she felt severe pain and yelled for help. Sean looks helpless, and in a moment, a force drags her into the darkness. He wakes up only to find out it was another dream. He took his drawing, only to see that it was a wind turbine. The next day, he took Andrea to the hospital. Andrea noticed something off about him, but he insisted he was fine. He stared at the television and started seeing things. He rushed outside out of unrest. He noticed that he could hear conversations and voices far away, in a distorted signal. He knew something was wrong. He went straight to see the doctor, Lillard. After scanning him and doing other tests, she asked him a series of questions: what he remembered last, what he had been experiencing, and Sean told her everything. His nightmares, his constant sketching, and now, a strange new symptom. His hearing has been enhanced. She encourages him to keep drawing, as this will lead him to the solution he's seeking. The doctor suggested he leave for now, promising to consult with her colleague, a psychologist, to create a treatment plan. But in the meantime, he should be on breathing exercises to ease himself down. Later that same day, they met with a pregnancy therapist, giving a lecture to pregnant women and their husbands. But in all this, his focus was lost. Disturbing visions kept creeping into his thoughts. He saw a man in the crowd with a face that didn't look human, with eyes so dark-looking in his direction. When he arrived at work the next day, he found out that the alarm gadget had been changed. All he did that day was draw. That evening at his apartment, with his enhanced hearing, he heard a strange noise and quickly went to check it out with a knife in his hand. He searched the house and eventually found a stray dog lying in the living room. By morning, Sean handed the dog over to Christian. After that, he went to a shop to get wall paint and same time, drawing equipment. When he heads back, he overhears Robin's statements about his recent changes. He saw some photos that contain the very drawings he had been seeing and sketching. After painting the room, Andrea realized a strange painting on the wall, but he replied not remember it. Right there, Andrea felt the pain, and he took her to the hospital for a checkup. While there, Sean suddenly began hearing voices, whispers calling out to him. Drawn to them, he followed the sound through the halls until he came across a horrifying sight. A man locked in a cage and a deer looking for an escape. Sean couldn't stop staring, his mind spinning with terror. He was pulled out of it only when Andrea called his name, snapping him back. They quickly left the place. That night, Sean woke in a panic. His hand was bleeding. He stumbled into the bathroom, only to be met with a reflection that nearly stopped his heart. His very eyes looked exactly like the terrifying man he had seen earlier. Frozen with fear, he blinked, and just like that, his face was normal again. Andrea rushed in, concerned, but Sean had no explanation for what had just happened. He broke down and cried, apologizing to Andrea, telling her he was sorry he might not be able to protect her, and told her to be strong if he wasn't there. The next day, he booked an appointment with Dr. Sturgill. She glances through the images Sean has drawn, while Sean was staring at her seriously. He told her that he had seen her before, but Sturgill said she had a familiar face. She asked him more questions about himself and his parents, gave him a firm lecture, and then encouraged him not to give up. He went to Christian and asked for a gun. At first, Christian refused, but later changed his mind and handed one over. The next day, Sean took up the paint and brush of the drawings he had made on the wall, and afterward, they went to the hospital. The doctor warned them that Andrea might not reach 37 weeks before she delivers due to preeclampsia, and the only way out is to apply medicine to help her to 37 weeks. Sean interrupted the conversation, telling the doctor he did what he asked for, and if the baby or both of them were going to die, Andrea quickly told him to stop saying such words. Later that day, Sean went back to his paintings with a poster of the dog he had seen earlier with him, and afterwards took the poster and began pasting it on the street. He began hearing echoes of a crying baby. He traced the sound to a room where a baby lay submerged in water, crying. He tried to open the door, but everything went black. Back at the clinic, he asked the doctor for medication to help him from seeing strange things. She feared he was slipping toward psychosis, but said she could still try to help since it looked early. She told him that the very cause happened when he hit his head on the ground the other day. He fell from the roof, and this has created a new connection between parts of his brain. That night, Andrea suffered complications and was rushed to the hospital. The doctor recommended full bed rest to prevent it from happening again. On Sean's way out, he saw Robin but told her he was a grown man and not to treat her like a kid. He proceeded further to meet Franco, from whom he eventually purchased the handgun bullets. That evening, when he arrived, he noticed Andrea had seen the gun he had hidden, and she became furious. She demanded he put it away, warning him of the danger. Afterwards, he returned to drawing the things he saw. At sunrise, Sean met Kakar, who told him he'd left the gate open the previous night, and also some strange paintings he had done on the school walls. Sean apologized, and Kakar warned him to be careful at work or he would have to quit if it continued. After they parted, Sean's hallucinations grew more intense. Voices echoed in his head, and faces and places he had only ever seen in dreams began to bleed into reality. Sometimes he lashed out in anger at himself, then calmed. One night, the tension boiled over. Andrea was going through Sean's recent drawings and begged him to talk, but Sean shut her out. He insisted he didn't need help. The argument left them both raw and more fractured than before. The next day, Sean visited his aunt, Robin. He asked what the name Astor means. She smiled, telling him it's a street in the desert. The house his father raised him was on that road. He proceeded to ask why his father killed himself, but right there, her eyes shifted just like the ones he kept seeing in his dreams. This time, he knew it wasn't real. He grabbed a knife and cut himself up, trying to keep control of the hallucination. When he arrived at work, he went back to take his ID card, and this caused the handgun to auto-fire when it fell, and luckily, he survived. Later at home, he lied about the cut on his hand, saying he was pierced by a nail at school. The following day, after arriving at work, he looked to the window where the bullet hit, parked his car, and went straight to the beach and into the water. Left with no option, he threw the gun in a trash can and walked away. But that night, things grew worse. He came home to find Lori and Robin waiting. Lori scolded him for leaving Andrea alone in her condition and warned him not to visit, saying Andrea didn't want to see him. Sean ignored the warning and went anyway. When he got there, Andrea coldly asked him to leave. Broken, he went to Christian's house, where he poured out his fears through endless drawings of the visions haunting him. Even as Christian tried to speak, Sean barely responded. He just kept sketching. The doctor had told him that drawing could help with the head injury, so he continued all through the night and into the morning. He brought the drawings to the doctor, demanding answers, but she couldn't explain them. Frustrated, Sean's body gave in. Blood poured from his nose and mouth, and he was rushed to the hospital. In the hospital bed, his nightmares returned. He saw Andrea die in labor alongside the baby. He stood up to take a closer look. He took the veil from the deceased's face and confirmed it was her. He woke up and called Andrea, but couldn't reach out to her. He drove back home, but Andrea wasn't there. The hallucinations started. He saw Andrea screaming, trying to put to bed while Robin and Lori were gazing at him with a strange look, telling him to turn the baby. He moved out, took his drawings, and started tracing the location of Astor. On his way there, he began to confirm the drawings and the locations. He arrived at the house, which happens to be his father's house, with pictures of him. He searched the house and found some of his childhood memories. In a moment, he looked outside and found a man sitting. He walked towards him and realized it was his father. The man couldn't tell it was his son, Sean, but rather, he said that his son went out to meet his friends for the weekend. He opened up to Sean about himself and, in a moment, asked Sean to get him something in the house. He stood up and went in, but when he looked back, he couldn't find the man again. Sean drove to the school, and suddenly, a light flashed over him, and he instantly fell out of the vehicle, vomiting. Elton rushed in and helped him to his vehicle. He assured Sean that everything was okay and he drove him home. When Sean got inside, he saw everything back to normal. He heads to his room and finds Andrea. He held her closely, and tears rolled down his face as he stayed close to her. The movie ends here. But was this really the end, or just the beginning of something darker? Thanks for watching. Support the channel by liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell for more recaps.